I would like to call upon the chairman of Defense and Foreign Relations Committee of Parliament, Mheshimiwa Githinji. If you could also come and say hi to the Kenyans as we wind up and go to the private sector.
Thank you, Balozi. Wakenya mpo? Mpo wa Kenya? Asanteni sana. It's a very great pleasure for me to be standing here before you. We were very excited to hear that we were coming to address the Kenyan diaspora. It's always good for us, whenever we travel around the world, to get a chance to meet and greet and fraternize and socialize with Kenyans in the diaspora. So we're very proud to be here. We're very happy to be here, and we're very proud of you. Just picking up from what Balozi was saying. In fact, let me take a couple of steps back, and before I go further, I'm an African, so I have to acknowledge the presence of our elders. Professor Ndung'u, I acknowledge you. My mother is also in the audience, my aunt, what we call my Tomunyinyi, my mom's younger sister. I have to acknowledge you also, Mom. As I was saying, and as Balozi was saying, and as we all say, the Kenyans in the diaspora are Kenya's most famous export. The Kenyan human resource is our biggest asset in our country and outside it. In fact, our second and third most famous export is American presidents and Academy Award winners. And to this end, if we at home, quite apart from just harnessing the financial capacity of the Kenyans in the diaspora, if we harness the intellectual capacity, the professional capacity, and the energy of all the Kenyans in the diaspora, and particularly here in the United States, because the Kenyans in the US have proved to be an invaluable resource, a powerful economic tool, and a monumental resource and pool for ideas. Because you Kenyans here have proved you can do anything and everything that Americans are capable of doing. And given that example, and given that opportunity, how much richer are we back home in Kenya for having you here? So we must find a way through the government, through the executive, but we also in the legislature must find a way of enabling our government, our institutions, to harness your energies, to harness your ideas, to harness your potential to its fullest. And I'm not saying that we don't, but we need to do this in a more structured, organized, and collective manner. I was surprised to hear about an engineer who's been designing the highways here in California, and many, many other Kenyans. I'm sure there are Kenyans doing fantastic things in the tech industry and others in the medical profession and so on and so forth. These are the people we want to tap into, as well as others, millions of others who are all over the world, who can assist us in developing the new Kenya that I'm sure you are witnessing being birthed before your eyes. Kenya is coming of age. Kenya is transforming. And Professor Ndung'u, I think this is something you have dreamt of and you have seen coming for a long time. The leadership of Kenya has progressed. Kenyan institutions are transforming. The government is becoming more responsive, more responsible as well, and also more progressive. We used to say that the youth is the leadership of tomorrow. Well, guess what? Tomorrow is now. The average age in the National Assembly came down by about 15 years in the last election. The youngest member of parliament was 26 when he took his oath of office, and the average age is now about 45. Mheshimiwa Ken Obura here, my young brother, is representative of the type of parliamentarians who are in the National Assembly. So Kenya is transforming. It's becoming, digital, as we like to say at home. And this is the opportunity now, with the new ideas, with the new thinking, with the new leadership, with the energy and resolve of all those in the public sector. There are people who are doing things that you will not believe in Kenya, even in government. Amazing things are happening in the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology. Amazing things are happening inside the Ministry of Devolution. Quite apart from seeking out captains of industry in the private sector, there are also opportunities for young, bright, talented, dedicated Kenyans in the public sector. Because we have a dream and a vision as a government in this administration, and also as a generation, that we have had the experience of being diasporans in Norway, in Finland, in Kenya, in London, in the US. But many of us want the experience of being Kenyans at home and contributing to that growth and development that we saw and admired in the countries that we used to live in. And that opportunity exists today for all of you. And this is the challenge I want to throw back at you. Because many times I've been to these forums, whether it was in London or elsewhere, as a participant, as a member of the diaspora, and always went there to hear, what is the government going to do for me? But today I throw the challenge back at you, and what are you going to do for your country and your government? This is the challenge and opportunity that we all have. We may see the things that are going on in Kenya, and maybe with the media tends to hype up the negative. And it's true. Life is like that. There are pros and cons, good and bad, negative and positive, dark and light. That is the nature of the universe. And Kenya is no different. We have our dark days. We have our low points and our low moments. One of the things that is continually giving us negative publicity is the issue of terrorism. And this phenomena is not new or exclusive to Kenya. And as much as people would want to position Kenya's challenge with terrorism as being as a result of Kenya's involvement in Somalia, I want to disabuse anybody of that notion. Kenya went into Somalia in 2011 in an operation called Linda Inchi, which operation was as a result of more than 3 or 4 years of incessant provocation by Al-Shabaab and terrorist activities on the northern counties and into our tourism areas such as Mombasa and Lamu. We had abductions, we had grenades being thrown, we had piracy, which was completely undermining the country's economy. In fact, international freight shipment insurances went sky high during this time. So Kenya's action in going into Somalia was justifiable and in the interest of the nation and the protection of the economy. Since then, a lot has happened. Kenya helped liberate 300,000 square kilometers of land which was previously held by Al-Shabaab. We liberated the port of Kismayu and other ports like Kuda. In doing so, we have helped to stabilize Somalia, which has been a constant challenge to the eastern seaboard and the Horn of Africa. And in doing that, we have allowed the national government, which we have been nurturing since birth in Nairobi, and since the time it went back into Somalia, we have helped them to come up and create institutions in their country and to try and gain governance back in a region that has had no government for over 25 years. So Kenya's efforts are honorable and are in line with our vision of uniting Africa and making Africa a peaceful continent, because without peace, there can be no prosperity. So Kenya is pursuing peace and prosperity in Somalia, in Southern Sudan, in Central African Republic, and many other places on the continent. And Kenya is being viewed as a leader in peace and a leader of Africa. And I want to tell you that we must thank God every day for the person of His Excellency, the President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, a man who is humble, down to earth, is a people person, and goes out of his way to make peace where there is none. A man who only wants the best for his people, a selfless leader, And we in Parliament, we support his leadership because we see in him ourselves and the aspirations of the Kenyan people. So as we move forward, we want to encourage all of us, wherever in the world you are, this country we call Kenya, what does it mean to you? We may say things like third fastest growing economy in Africa, in the world, you know, ninth most attractive investment destination. This year we have 5.5% growth. Next year projected by World Bank and IMF, 6% growth. But what does it mean to you? And what are you ready to do for this country we love and call Kenya? Wakenya wenzangu namshukuru, Mungu awabariki, tuko pamoja nanyi.
Makofi tena kwa chairman wetu wa Defense Committee.